Hey everyone, welcome to the spare room. Art of Chaos again. Sorry about that. Hey Chirp, Peter Noddle, Man Cave, Matt Osborne, Roger Dodger, Joe Durder, g'day. Brendan Gill, g'day. Matty's Workshop, did I say that? Yeah, g'day. What's happening? What's going down, guys? What exciting things have made it through? Or got you through your week? Big question. Yes, I got a bottle of gas. Honestly, haven't even taken the top off it yet. I got it home about 20 minutes ago. So we'll see what happens with that. Hey, Craig. Also got a battery charger, which I haven't messed with. It's sort of got a fairly complicated instruction book and lots of information, but it will charge lead acid batteries. So hopefully I can charge the battery on the Stuart 400 and the Land Rover. So that's the theory there. eBay special. Hasn't got a power supply, but we've got one right here, so not a huge deal. Hey, Fridge. And John Creasy, g'day. So anyway, don't know if this is going to work. I don't know anything at all about these, but apparently you need a balanced charger for LiPo batteries, and that's what I got. So you charge some batteries. That's a job for later. Crap, it's not stuck down. This is a work in progress. Still, she needs some work, unfortunately. Paint that I was using, what we got? How come the camera's loose? Why is it doing that? Don't know. Anyway, paint I'm using is probably a little bit shiny. We'll sort that. We'll be on to that. But this is mostly brush. I didn't really mask any of it. I just brushed it. Anyway, she needs some work. David Sykes, g'day. Anyway, got a charger. It wasn't very expensive on eBay. It was a lot cheaper than going to my hobby shop, and I feel bad about that. But probably I'm buying it for the same price they're buying it. There's no power supply with it, so that's probably the reason it was a bit cheaper. So Lara's work in progress. She's a bit of work in this, and her paint's way shinier than expected. So I'm not really happy with that. But we're going to dull this down and then put some inks over the top just to clean it up a bit. So that's where we're at with that. So Lara update. Anyone who cares? I'm not 100% sure anyone does. Age Workshop, g'day. So yeah, the problem with Lara is that she's too shiny at this point. Anyway, what else is happening? Bit of work on the 400 over the weekend. Got the manifold all on and the carby all fitted up. Finish that up. We probably should have a look at that. We'll bring it over and have a look and show you some of the other things we've got planned. We could probably even hook some gas up to it, but I'm not going to promise anything. Don't know what your guys' fixation is with Lara, but anyway. I suspect it's more to do with Angelina as you get on, but who knows. Anyway, carby's all on. Let's go choke, sort of. It's got a mixture valve, sort of. What else have we got here? Can we see that? Probably. It's got a spring there to stop this. Hey Nigel, good to see you. So it's sort of, it's got a spring on there to stop it moving. This battery or spark plug terminal's less of a success than I'd hoped, to be honest. I'm still thinking about how we're going to address that. We've got spark, we've got compression. Spark there, hopefully we've got some compression. Now what I've prototyped up here, right, don't judge me. Gonna need a piece of aluminium or something for this, right. I might bolt that on the flywheel there like that. As a rope start pulley. That's quite on the cards. That means I've got to take the flywheel off. I've got to machine a flat on these on 5 spots and make something like this. Probably all it needs to be is just a ring sticking out with 5 screws in it. And probably doesn't need all these fancy legs. And maybe that's a good idea, but we'll get to that if we need to. Is everybody happy? At some point here somewhere, I put down the old bottle of gas and it's still got the regulator on it. There we go, found it. The new one's considerably heavier, which is always a good sign. And it's also got what sounds like some gas flow, which is great. I've got no idea where this should be set. If it does fire, it'll be a total miracle. So we've got spark, probably. Yep, sounds like spark. Probably do with some oil. Yeah, nothing there at all. But that's what we are getting is a gas smell, which is excellent. But we're not getting any gas through there. Maybe we're not getting any air. What we're going to get in a minute is a shock. Sucker. I think that I'm going to have to sit down. I'm going to have to work out water pressure on the gas cylinder and settings on that. You're going to have to mess around and work out flow through the carby, and I'm probably going to have to, we'll just close all this off and see, and it's got a gap full of gas, see if it will actually fire when it gets a bit more oxygen in there. And of course that's loose now, so it was a good idea. I'm not sure it is. Nah, nothing. Give up. Won't start with the audience. You can't put a pulley cordless drill on here. That's a bit of a problem. I'm not particularly sure that it's gonna fire. A friend who messes with gas antique engines says a good trick is to hold a lighter at the exhaust. Now, if it's getting any gas through the system on the exhaust stroke, it'll push it out. So you should get a blue flame as it pops out the exhaust. If you get that blue indication, then there's a pretty good chance that if everything else is right, the engine should sort of somewhere near look at running. The few times that that's actually happened, I've had pops and bangs out of it. So that's what I would like to aim for. So that's the first thing, is to sit down with this and to make sure that everything sort of works. And we've got gas through the system, and then we can start thinking about making it operate. We've also only got a lock nut holding this on here, and it's come undone, so we're going to have to mess with that. There's a few little teething problems still, but maybe unscrew this so it doesn't leak and we don't end up back where we were before. Maybe we're not that far away. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to mess around with it the next few days and see what I can find out. Anyway, I'm going to put that on the floor down there. Sorry guys, but that's just not going to happen. Not like that anyway. And probably I'll make something like this with a rope starter to aid in starting it. That's probably a pretty good sort of an option. We will see. But at this point, we're just going to have a bit more of a muck around and get some proper gas through it and see if it actually fires. If it fires, well then we're halfway there. Oh, well, that's all you were waiting for. That's enough then. I'm out. No. What else is happening? Yes, it has a centre on it. I'm reluctant to use a rub or wheel or something like that. I don't think you can get enough purchase on it because you can't hold it down hard enough to push against it. I've tried all those sort of things. I think the smart thing is to make a decent rope pulley on it and pull it a bit quicker at this point. But probably it should just fire up. Everything sort of seems to be okay. It's just a matter of getting it going, I think. Andrew Whale got his going. That's awesome. I'm really pleased with that. I'm glad he did. Hey, Randy. So, following on from last week, I wanted to... Matty was interested in this, or interested in seeing this, so I thought, well, while I had it out from under the bench, I'd do this. Chips all the paint off, Chirp. I'm really not impressed with any of that. I've thought about it for months. I think it's just a matter. I don't think that let's just give it another go and see if it starts at some point. Hey Tom, you're busy. So this box here has got Starrett written on the top, LS Starrett Company. Not sure you missed anything, to be honest. You missed Lara. And I know we could show you Lara again later if you really want to, but I'm not sure you missed anything. This is too big for my workshop. I bought it because it seemed like a good deal at the time. The Starrett sticker on the inside. There's a sticker on this end. You can see that. I might swing this around here so you can see it just under my thumb there. I don't know if you can see that in there. That one there. It says made of genuine mahogany. It's a Starrett height gauge. It's 18-inch one. It's a fairly big one. It is. I think it's inches and metric. Yeah, inches and metric. Probably not sure whether I'm ever going to use it again. So anyone who's interested in a height gauge, probably we can negotiate on something there. I'd be happy to trade it for something. It's got scribers, everything. A few other bits with it, but it's not a bad thing. It's just that the 18 inches is a bit big. It's taller than my bench is wide. So Matty's already said that he's looking for one. Not really sure I want any cash for it, but we'll see. Just got to get to posting it somewhere and see what someone else can do by way of a trade. That's where I'm at. That's it. Look at these guys. You have my number. I'll give you no cash for it. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Anyway, it's there, and that's what it looks like. It's not a bad surface gauge, and I honestly, a height gauge. I honestly am probably going to use the gauge block set once it's cleaned up a bit more often, because it's less likely to get knocked off, and it's certainly more the size of machine I want. This little job here on the corner is probably shop made, and that's probably plenty good for most of the things that I would normally do. You ought to have a think of what you could offer me for it. So it's there. Have a think about it. They're like seagulls, that's right. Have a think about it. I'll let you think about it. But anyway, it's there. Right. What else is happening? Flat battery in the landy, or we get that out of the bench and run away out on the floor or outside and run it up and down. But no, we can't do that. Maybe next week. Excited to do that when I get some charge back in the battery, but right now it's got a continuous beep coming out of the speed controller because it's got a low battery. Now, I don't know, we run out of things to talk about, so we might get on to this. I don't know. I really wasn't planning on showing anyone this at any point in the next 3 months, but we'll see how we go. Crap. I just spilled half a cup of turps all over me, which is really nice. It's going to be pleasant. Probably going to wash that off before I go to bed. Very unimpressed about that, but anyway, that's what the crap was for. You can keep the cold weather. Now, this isn't a new project, really. This has been seriously 2 years in the making. And it's not really even a project yet, to be honest. It's something I think about in my spare time sort of a job. It's not actually, there's no, at this point, there's no real project about it. It's just something that may or may not happen in the next little while. It could be 12 months away. It could be 2 years away. We might forget about it for a bit. But hey, Paddy, good to see you. Now, the Boy Racer sign's out. I did that 2 years ago, right? 3 years ago, maybe. And that's about when this started. Why is my battery mount loose? I'm not sure. I must have a loose screw in it. And it's been on my mind, how do I put this, to produce some sort of a classic toy that might be doable on a small commercial basis. As a collectible, as probably not even so much as a revenue source, but as a fun thing to do, and as a way of making one's mark on society, or whatever you want to call it. Now, the first itineration of this was probably steam, as evidenced from an old Model Engineer magazine article from 1902, 1905, something like that. Now, that's not going to happen on a commercial basis because of boilers and stuff. It's not going to happen. Forget it. And the sketches and drawings and pictures and things that I had were pretty basic too, and I really thought it was too complicated for what you would ever make out of it, or what you would ever hope to share them for. So the other thing that's really taken my interest and taken my eye in the last couple of years, and I've been looking for one, is a Shackleton clockwork lorry from the UK, which is pretty awesome. Shackleton made kit die-cast models that were clockwork with working tippers and proper accessories, and fairly nicely finished, fairly big scale, like I think somewhere between King Matchbox and Tonka, something like that. That were all you could pull apart and put together, a bit like Meccano, only a bit more realistic, and they had like proper diff drives and clockwork motors, and really nice bit of gear. If you want to Google Shackleton locos, Google Shackleton lorry or Shackleton truck, SHACKLOTON, something like that, LETON. Shackleton are nice stuff, but they're way out of my price range. And to get one to even copy, I thought, well, I'd like to buy one and then make a replica and maybe sell it. But to get one to even copy, and then die-cast bits and metal bits, and there's a lot of work in it, and I'm not sure you could make them a lot cheaper than what you can buy them for, which realistically, the cheapest ones that have ever come on the market are 1,500 Australian dollars or more, some of them 1,500 of English pounds. So a Shackleton's completely out of the question at the moment. So I'm not going to make replicas of that. Now, I honestly thought that I'd like to do that, and maybe if one turns up at the right time. If anyone's got a Shackleton lorry in their back cupboard that they're not doing anything with, send it up to me for a bit. I'll look after it. So that was the second option. Right? And I thought about that for a few months, and it's sort of still in the back of my mind. I'd love a Shackleton lorry, and I'd love to build a replica of one. And they are quite complex. Like the clockwork motor's got a proper governor and clutch and brake and all that stuff in it. And probably for a first clockwork project, that's a bit intense and a little bit complicated. So there's a couple of awesome Eastern European companies that made cool clockwork trucks and things along the same lines, and some of them are pretty nice, but not really particularly well known and not particularly well built, and not particularly available, or information really isn't available about them either. So been thinking about this for years anyway. It's an expensive height gauge, Craig. I'm just saying, it's an expensive height gauge. Well, if we're going to make a tin toy, why make it aimed at kids? Price it for adults. Sit it on the shelf. Make it look pretty. I bet all these restored Tonkas and vintage clockwork and wind-up toys and even battery toys and things like that even from the 70s. Anyone who's got 1970s Star Wars toys, who lets their kids play with it? No one. So not really the market. So that's where I'm at with that. That, by the way, is a pram wheel. Anyway, I don't have a better way of showing you this. Yeah, I think that's the only one available, and I think it might be a repaint too, so just be aware of that. Now, I don't know if it's got his box. This is French. Right? About 1910. It's reminiscent of the probably Italian or French races, Fiat, or some of the French crazy races from that period of time. It's clockwork. It's got less than 25 parts in it, including the wheels and tires and fasteners and everything. It's certainly more aerodynamic in reverse. and it's probably something that would lend itself to a kit. There are other pictures of it, but that's where I'm thinking now. If I was to get some information together and make a prototype at some point, right? It ain't going to happen yet. I want to get, there are other projects that I've got to get finished first. But make a prototype, and sorry for all the waffle on this, and cost out what it would cost to make a couple of hundred of them and list them on Kickstarter as numbered collectibles. Send a few out to, or a couple of prototypes or whatever out to some of the big restoration or toy channels. And I'm wondering what it would actually cost to make one and what you could actually market them for and make a and break even without putting too fine a line on any profit, because I don't think there's any such thing. And I'm also, and they could be powder coated, they could be just made out of tin. They're all flat panels. I mean, there's a couple of curved pieces, a rolled curved piece with it with jointed edges, but probably spot welds, or I think the original was probably soft soldered, but that's probably not going to happen. And either, like we saw some pram wheels, a bit smaller than that, I think that's too big. But some pram wheels with rubber tires on them from India or somewhere, maybe. Or we saw some, this is a, I don't know what this is off. I don't think it's a pulley. It's a pram wheel or something, or it's off something. It hasn't got it's got a worn out hole in the middle, so it obviously turns on an axle. I think it's probably a wagon or a pram wheel or something. This one, if we're going to go there, is actually a washing machine pulley. So I just saw that there. That's the thought, right? The thing only drives on one wheel with a very basic clockwork motor that has 2 panels and 4 moving parts, and a spring. So not much to it. Yeah, there's chirp. I think there's 10 sheet metal parts in it. It's pretty simple. I have adjustable steering, so it'll go around in a corner, because there's nothing worse than a clockwork car that goes in a straight line, especially a big one. Something about 10 or 12 inches long. Probably not anything as complicated as a Meccano motor in it, because these are available offshore fairly cheaply. Copies of them, I believe. But a bit complicated and a bit bulky. I think we do something simple. It doesn't even need a governor, because your tyres are on the road. And it probably really doesn't need a brake, because you're really not going to stop it at any point. You're just going to wind it up with it on the ground and let it go. And it probably needs 4 wheels and a steering wheel. Whether you source someone to make them, or whether you make them out of tin and put them together like this. I mean, you could spin 4 of them for a prototype, but I'm not going to metal spin 400 of them. And powder coat everything, and find a box of decals, have it so that the final assembly is all with bent over pads or bent over tabs, and supply a nylon punch for that. And probably you've got a pretty cute little racer to run around the street a couple of times and then put on the shelf. And I've talked to a few people about Kickstarter today and over a period of time. I even had a meeting with a guy this morning about who successfully funded a couple of Kickstarter campaigns. So I've learned a fair bit about that, and marketing's not my strong point. But this, look, it's been 2 years so far. Just at this point in time, restoration videos are huge on YouTube. Like, everyone watches people restoring toys and kitchen appliances and tools and things. No idea why, but people do watch that stuff. Also, with things like Goodwood Festival of Speed and Goodwood Revival and some of those cool classic events, the Edwardian races coming back, and there are people out there with enough money to race them, so there's actually a feature of those sort of things. And if you look on YouTube for Goodwood like vintage races, there's some really cool stuff comes up. So Brendan, of course, lives next to Goodwood. That's awesome. So yeah, a lot of people watch restoration videos. And if you look at any of the restoration channels, they're huge. Like, seriously, they're huge. And that's awesome. And good luck to them. But most people who watch those, us is sort of discounted, don't have a lot, to be honest, of time or mechanical prowess or workshop equipment to do those sort of restorations that they see. And it would be really cool to be able to supply, hey, look, here's a kit come in a box that you can put together yourself without really stuffing it up too much. And it's going to work, and it's going to look like one of those restored cars. And it's going to be cool on your desk or on your library shelf or in your workshop. And we've got your email, so when there's another one come out to go with it, we might actually let you do that as well. But you know, that's not really how it works, but it is. Yeah, don't discount anything Quinn says. She's probably watching this, but please discount anything she says. She doesn't know what she's talking about. That's just loose talk for YouTube. She doesn't really mean it. Actually, she probably does, so fair enough. But I suck at that. I suck at finding homes for small pieces that are here on the bench that I use all the time and I'm using for current projects. And if I put them away, then I've got to get them out again. So it's time for a major cleanup here. I understand that, and it probably will happen. But when I'm actually making stuff and producing stuff, I actually the debris builds up, and I apologise for that. Tommy's right. The cleanliness is always next to the pile of stuff you just shoved aside. That's exactly right. Tabs are definitely a good idea, Chirpy. That's the sort of what we're able with that, and that's what's going to happen, I think. And that's easy. We can just laser cut the bits and probably fold them up and send them off for powder coat, and probably spot weld some of the panels together so that they stay in shape. And might have to buy some more equipment to do that, but we're up for that. There's always an excuse. However, at some point in the next 12 months anyway, you may see, or the next 2 years, whenever, don't hold me to it, you may see a prototype emerge. And it's probably just going to be blocks of wood and some 3D printing and a couple of bits of tin, but we'll get something that looks like it's going to work. Yeah, Maddie's one of Quinn's friends. He's a bit like that. I always clean my machines. All my machines are nice and clean when I leave them, and I like to do that. But bench space, I'm really shocked with, so I apologise for that. If I had twice as much bench space, probably I'd have half as much problem, but that's theoretical, and I'm never ever going to test that. So I can put that out there as an actual, like a actual point of fact, without anyone actually ever thinking that I have to prove it wrong. So that's pretty safe, probably. But most of this stuff lives on the bench. My drill sets live on the bench. Most of the stock for the materials or the projects I'm working for live on the bench. Most of the prototypes live on the bench. There's nowhere for them. I'll make something like this out of aluminium or steel or brass or something, and this will go in the bin. But it's just to see how it looks and what size it is. This one's too small. These wheels now they're finished with will probably go back in the wheel box. I have a wheel box. They're in the wheel box. Job's done. This probably goes back in my display cabinet. This motor actually is in my coat hanger. Hashtag coat hanger 2020. Go and check out all those videos again if you're looking for something to watch and you're new to the channel and you haven't seen any coat hanger 2020 videos. There's some awesome stuff there. That was a Rustinox innovation, and it was pretty awesome as one of the challenges we did this year. But my Meccano Magic motor is actually in my coat hanger 2020 out of this box, this one. For box of springs, an assortment, there's never ever much good. There's never ever the right springs in this. It's one of those things. Yeah, Bill just runs out of workspace and puts out another workbench shop. That's right. Hey, Anthony. Roger doesn't know what he's talking about. Disregard him. I'm not even going to joke about giving him 5 minutes time out because it'd probably happen. So, anyway. The good thing about shipping containers, you can stack them up too. So he hasn't thought of that yet, but I'm guessing it's coming there. If you have a look on our Discord, Bill's been documenting his workshop build, which is a lot of shipping containers, to be honest. He hasn't worked out you can stack them up 3 or 4 high and put ladders up, but I guess it's coming. I can see it happening. Someone ordered a black book. Who was that? Asked whether to get the metric or the... Ah, that was... I know who that was. That was Brendan. Whether to get the metric or the imperial one. Same book. Just the stuff's in different orders. I'm fairly confident. I don't think there's anything extra in either or the other. The USA edition has the imperial stuff first, and the metric edition has the metric stuff first, as far as I know. Someone might prove me wrong, but I think that's the difference. I hope I finished with this. This was the jig to bore the valves on the 400 head. I really hope I'm done with this. I'm loath to throw that out yet because I'm probably going to melt it down in the end, but I don't want to throw it out because I'm probably going to have to redo them again. It's a bit of a tragedy. Got this box. These boxes aren't really the answer, right? These are all imperial taps. Those two are 8 BSP. That's great. There's probably a 1/4 inch BSP one in there that I'll need for the muffler at some point. But this isn't really the answer. Model Engineer taps. These are 3/16. I guess these are probably 532. They go in here, and as you know, this isn't really the answer either. This is a real fool of a system. There must be a box for those somewhere. I'm going to put this over on the top of my toolbox. This one is probably 8BA. And this one's probably 8BA too. So we'll put them away in a minute. This is a brass drill. If you ever get a chance to pick some up, do, with the long flutes, they don't grab. Or not as much anyway. It's an awesome thing. So there we go. It's a useless piece of information that you probably didn't see before. Hey, look, anyone's got a shipping container and they want me to put a mural on it, I'd be totally up for that. Totally. I've got lots of Meccano toys. Steel. See, if I put this away without putting these in there, I've got to get it out again. If I don't put it away, I haven't really achieved anything. You see where the problem is? I don't know if you realise, but that's a bit of a problem. I'm struggling with this. So I'll just put it over there and I'll finish putting it away later. Really, you don't think anyone understands. There's a centre drill. We'll put the centre drill away. There's another centre drill too somewhere. I wonder where that is. Here it is. This wooden thing is a really good idea. The threads break on them, but I'm just reading the chat and then the chat stops, so we get awkward silence. Sorry. Thanks, Chip. I showed you some Meccano tools or some Meccano trains last week. The new wagons that I picked up. I've got enough Meccano or enough Hornby trains to make a layout. However, I don't have space to put a baseboard, and I don't have money to organise something that folds up against the wall or such, which I'd really like. Timber's expensive and heavy and hard to transport, and at this point it hasn't happened. But one day that's the idea. Drill box. The drill box come from Keo Cutters at Warren, Michigan. They're ISO certified. Got a label on there. Combined drill and countersink set, plain, one set. These actually come from Keith Fenner. So I don't know who donated them to What's in Your Box in 2019 or 2016 it was. It's a while ago. It's further back than I like to think. But they've been pretty useful tool, absolutely. Hey Matt, good day. And JB, good day. And Bill, we were talking about you. But that's okay. We weren't talking at you, so you never missed anything. So anyway, that's what's happening here. That's the little circles that my mind is going around in and probably never actually is sort of slowly decreasing circles. It's like a, what's the name of the curve? Anyway, it's that. That's how it works. And finally I get all tangled up inside and forget about it and try something else. But the boy racer thing might be really cool. It might be good fun. I'm not sure of the final itineration of it yet. And the actual prototype that I build might be completely different to that. But if anyone's got any ideas or knows where you get, say, 2.5-inch pram wheels with white tyres or cheap clockwork motors or anyway of holding the bits together and probably just 4 spots around them, it'd be plenty good enough, I think, to put 2 bits of steel together. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. Also, if anyone's got a spot welder for sale, I'm probably in the market to buy one. I've thought recently that's going to be the next thing that I actually want. So if anyone local knows where there is one, hit me up. Yeah, Keith's moving away from YouTube. I don't know if it's going to do him any favours. He's moving away from reality is what's really happening. I don't want to be the person that says that, but I just did. Reality's awesome thing once you've got a grip on it. And honestly, once you've decided that the Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl, then there's not much anyone can do to change your mind about it. And if someone tries to correct you, then you move away from that reality into your reality. And that's probably, to a certain extent, what's happening. Bit harsh, but not sure it's going to do him a lot of favours. And not sure that you're going to get the same content that you used to get out of him anyway, so it probably doesn't really matter. He's a busy guy and life's moved on and he's got other stuff happening as well. So all the best to him, and he's an awesome guy. It's just that certain realities tend to offend people, and it's best if you're not corrected when you share different beliefs to what those that are correcting you. Anyway, well aware of what's happening, and there's quite a few people who've done that, but I see like videos from those creators pop up on YouTube as well, so I'm not sure it's going to be a permanent or a complete shift, because the thing YouTube has that none of these other little things have is a captive audience that's there watching, who don't have to actually go looking for a certain creator's content. And when that certain creator isn't listing or showing his content anywhere else except on a couple of random social media sites and a video hosting service that no one's heard of, then makes them very difficult to find for even the people who really care. So that's a tough one. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Political soapbox for tonight, and I apologise. Anthony, how much do I want to invest? In which? Own a spot welder. Look, I don't think you can get much of a spot welder for under about 800 Australian dollars. That's where I'm at with that. Probably if you could get a cheaper one, that'd be nice. But I only really want a bench mount. Something with replaceable or interchangeable electrodes. If we're back on spot welders. I really don't want anything that weighs any more than about 3/4 of a tonne. No, I don't want a heavy machine. I can buy a new one from here in Forbes for about 1,200, which isn't too bad. I think that CIG or BOC gases or whatever they are about the same price. So that's what a new one's worth. Probably if I bought a second-hand one, it'd have to be fairly good and a little bit cheaper than that. So, or quite a bit cheaper than that. So there we go. That's where I'm at with that. If anyone's got one, hit me up. The whole... I didn't say anything about politics. Sorry, Jim. I didn't mention it. I just put my views across as to why people leave YouTube and Facebook and all that. Thanks, Anthony. I'll check that out. The tags on batteries thing, Roger, I'm sort of interested in. I've seen those on Banggood and so forth, and they're probably heaps strong enough. I mean, I only really want something that'll probably spot weld 22 gauge at a maximum. Anyway, something a bit more heavy duty would get used too if I had it. I know that. Anyway, try not to be too political, and I apologise to anyone that thought I'd come across that way. I really tried not to, but you know how I feel about that. And probably, yes, that's political. Sorry, guys. What else? These are all theoretical projects. You know that all the projects we've covered tonight are totally theoretical in nature and may never actually happen, including the 400 actually running. And and the height gauge getting posted or shipped, and any other tool making projects that I might need to get finished. We'll see. Matty's got the casters coming. It's been going on for years, Chirp. I'm not going to make one out of a microwave transformer. Yes, that works probably. No, my electrical ability isn't up to standard. I struggle with a buzz coil and a battery. When it comes to radio controlled cars and wiring stuff up, that's a bit of a learning curve. I can replace switches. I'm pretty good at soldering stuff, and do a lot of surface mount components at work. I do a lot of circuit board components, resoldering and replacing, that sort of stuff, testing and all that. I can do that, but when it actually comes to running electricity through stuff and expecting it to come out the other end without blowing fuses and things, I'm really not up for that. So probably easiest just to work an extra couple of days and go and buy, or work a week or something in a couple of weeks and save up and actually go and buy a spot welder. That's where I'm at with that. Seems like probably a better thing to do. Mark had an awesome series of videos on making spot welders, and that's cool. I have 3 or 4 friends who have a box or an assortment of things on the shelf that they are eventually going to make into a spot welder, and it's never happened. To be honest, I'm in that boat too. If I start a project like that, it's just I would much rather buy the tool and have something that actually works if I need it, than to put it off until I actually need it and then not do without it because I haven't made it. So that's where I'm at with that. Sorry, guys. Hey, Scott. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Having said that, I was getting a few pops and bangs out of the Stewart 400 engine on an ether spray the other day or yesterday. So just so you know that I'm reasonably confident this time. So we'll see. It's just a matter of messing around with the mixture and getting it dialed together. Anyway. Lone spot welder, that's about it. Rum and Coke always mix well, but probably not at 4 o'clock in the morning. What type of fuel are we using, Anthony says? At this point, that's what I'm using. That's propane. So that's the fuel. What's all the rest of the bits? Right, we've got a regulator, which is dialed right back with a valve on it. Not standard equipment. We've actually done a job on that to make it work. There. This can be adjusted down so that it's only got about 3 or 4 inches of water pressure, which is what it needs to be. This valve is really not good, but it's also got a demand valve here, which has got a diaphragm in it, which I made, and that will only supply gas when it sucks. So that's where we're at with that. How's the mixer valve work, Paddy? I haven't got there yet. I've only just got gas tonight. Are you sure the gas is getting through the propane valve? Absolutely. I know I've got gas to this end of this pipe, right? If you turn the gas on and suck it, you get a mouthful of gas, but there's no, like, it shuts off otherwise. So I'm fairly confident about that. I'm not sure if it's getting through the mixer or whether we probably need a bigger need, or like a bigger jet, so that it actually sucks a bit more gas. I'm suspicious that I've only put a 1mm jet in it, and I think it might be a little bit sort of small. So I've left provision to drill that out if we need to. So that's where we're at with that. Hopefully it's getting air as well. It's got a choke valve on it in case it's getting too much, but what do you think, Chirpy? Does it need to be bigger or smaller? Someone tell me. I haven't got a clue. I just started that as sort of a starting size. I've got no idea. Do I like maths? I hate maths completely. But if you've got some sort of a scientific formula for working this out, that's awesome. I have talked to enough people to know approximately how much gas I should get to the carburetor, and approximately what sort of mixture I should have inside the cylinder, and some good foolproof seeming ways to work out whether that's actually happening or not. So at that point, if I've got spark at the right point and some sort of timing and some compression, we should actually get a fire. Oh, bang. It doesn't seem to be much more complicated than that, but obviously it is. So that's where I'm at with that. It seems pretty straightforward. I would say that if we can get some sort of gas through the exhaust valve on the exhaust stroke, so that we've actually got a flame when we light it, then we're probably getting gas into the cylinder. And if we dial it back from that, probably we're going to get something that's going to fire, but got no idea. That's exactly right, Heron. You've got different mass, so different mixture. So that's this is all fairly. Hey, Mike from Cornwall, and hey, Nigel. Good video from Nigel this week on the new Vice. That's the next thing, is to blow through the intake manifold and see if I get gas out the other side that I can light. That might be a good option too. Thanks, Craig. I don't know if that actually means anything, but it's awesome. It's a bit of paper figure to have. But probably some compressed air on the intake side of the manifold for the air would probably get us a bit more mixture inside too. Just a matter of starting at the bottle and making sure everything works and everything's about the right pressure and everything's got the right amount of volume, and then from there working through and making sure it's sucking gas as well as air, and see if we can make it go pop. Yeah, he seems pretty helpful, Chirp. So that's where I'm at. The engine looks awesome. It's probably going to get a rope starter at some point. I was going to avoid putting too much Loctite on this until I got it somewhere near in mixture about in the right spot for running. And then I was just going to undo it and put it on so that the knob's sort of in the center of the retaining spring. But we will see. Still not staying tight. I don't know why. Can mess around with this all night, but there we go. I probably need some dinner as well, and answer some emails, things like that. I think that's fixed it. Running it without the demand valve doesn't work because you end up with gas out here. It comes out here, it just leaks out into the atmosphere. Sorry about this. Why won't that zoom out? No idea. So it's definitely sucking because we're getting, if we have a look at this demand valve, it's definitely moving the vibe on the intake valve. It's definitely moving the diaphragm, so it's definitely sucking gas through here. Now the other thing is that we probably have got a flat battery. But we're not getting any gas out there through the exhaust. So we seem to be only getting air out here. We're not actually getting any gas. Let's open it up a bit more. At least before I was actually getting like a blue flame out the exhaust. I don't think we're getting enough gas. I don't think we're getting any gas in there at all yet. So there we go. That's where I'm at with it. Matt says the gas is on, yes. Can we spool the... Are you ready to get bit? Where's... Oh! So I reckon charge that battery is a good start. So there's nothing there. I'm not convinced that it's getting any gas. Gas fully on really isn't the answer because I think you get too much pressure. There are people who say that you really only want probably 3 or 4 inches of water pressure out of your gas, which is 2 parts of stuff all basically. Mark, good up, yeah. Take your time. It's good to see you. I don't think we're going to mess around with this for much longer. I'm going to turn the gas on a bit more. There we go. We got a flash. Did you see that? Did everyone see that? So we're getting some flame out there, but not really what I would think all enough. Is the gas leaking out the air intake? Don't believe so. I'm pretty confident that, yeah, I needed a lot more gas, and that's where I was before. So that gas bottle's fully on. We've got choke fully shut. We've got this valve pretty well open. It's off the scale. Probably we've got no spark. I think we need to charge the battery for a start. Anyway. And everyone says, I think you need to spin it with a drill. Yes, I've heard that. Can't do it with the way it's set up without scratching the paint and damaging the bearings and hammering everything, and I really don't want to treat it like that. However, we'll have a think about it. And I think realistically, charge the battery because it must be getting flat by now. And probably drill the jet out another 0.1 of a millimetre, something like that, 10%. And we'll try again. And that's all cack-handed that way round, so there's no way in the world I can start it that way round, that's for sure. We can make some sort of a 5-sided spider to go in the spokes. Yeah, I might have to do that yet, but I really was trying not to be honest. It requires a lot more than my battery was got to spin it over at speed, actually. That's sort of where I'm. The couple of times that I've hooked a drill up to it, it's pulled it up pretty effectively. So, not sure yet. This weekend might make it or break it though. We'll see if we can get it going. We've got all the ducks in a row, I guess. As far as just about everything should be there, ready to make it run. So it's just a matter of experimenting with it and getting it sorted. But we do have a pretty weak spark there at the moment, and I reckon that's some of the problem. It's also that the spark's way up inside here, a long way away from the combustion chamber, and I'm worried that might be a design problem with it. And I honestly just don't think it's getting enough gas, so we're going to drill that shed out, see how we go with it. Anyway, there we go. Anyway, it's certainly pretty close, and there's not much else that really. I guess the thing is to make something up for the battery drill, and if that starts it, then make a rope starter for it. But once you get it tuned in pretty close, it should start pretty easily anyway, I would think. Would certainly hope so. So anyway, that's where we're at. We'll see how we go. I would like at some point to have this thing running. I'm probably going to put the battery on the charger for an hour tonight, and probably a bit tomorrow night too. I'm not going to leave it, but we'll get the charger out and we'll work exactly what we need to do to get that running. And we'll give the battery a bit of a go. And hopefully, at some point, we'll have this thing running. Big thanks to all my new subscribers. Thanks to everyone who stuck this long. I don't believe any of you really needed to, but I really do appreciate it. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's awesome. I'll ask you to do that whether you do or not. Don't know if it makes a lot of difference. But more soon, guys and girls, and be kind to each other. I'm going to, give you all time to click like. There's only 15 there out of 24 of you. So you've all got to get up from the couch and go across the TV and click like. Take the mouse with you next time. And oh, there we go. Good on you. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we're out. I'm out.